People, please be careful when you're interfering with someone else's marriage, especially if that man has did everything that he could, provided shelter, worked hard all of his life, and for that to be taken from him because someone is angry, that will make a man furious. So please be careful when interfering with someone else's marriage. To my family, I want to let y'all know I love you, all of you. And anyone that loves me, I love you. And anyone that don't love me, well, deal with it. But I just want to let everyone know, do not interfere with someone else's marriage.
On the morning of October 6th, 2024, the quiet town of Colbert, Georgia, awoke to a day that would forever be marked by tragedy, as it became the final chapter in the life of April Marie Kelly, a 45-year-old woman defined by her compassion, dedication, and unwavering commitment to others. Born on March 28, 1979, April's story is not only about the violence that ended her life, but also about the profound impact she made on countless individuals over her 45 years. Those who knew her paint a vivid picture of a woman whose warm smile could soothe even the most distressed child, whose patience seemed boundless, and whose drive to uplift those around her never wavered. A former co-worker at Fowler Drive Elementary School recalled her unique ability. April had a rare gift for connecting with students who challenged other educators. She didn't just teach, she truly understood their needs. For 17 years, April poured her heart into the Clark County School District in Athens, Georgia, beginning her career as a special education paraprofessional, and later advancing to oversee after-school programs at Fowler Drive Elementary. Her professional path also included significant contributions at Barnett Shoals and Howard B. Stroud Elementary Schools, where her supervisors praised her remarkable skill in tailoring educational approaches to suit each child's requirements. A principal who collaborated with her for over a decade noted, when others might abandon hope, April would devise a new strategy. She firmly believed every child deserved that pivotal moment when understanding dawned. April's influence reached far beyond the classroom. She spearheaded community initiatives that fostered connections among parents, educators, and students, creating a sense of unity. On weekends, she volunteered at local literacy programs, sharing her love of learning. She kept a stash of snacks in her desk for children who arrived hungry, small gestures that built a legacy of kindness still cherished by the community grieving her loss. A teaching assistant who worked closely with her shared, "The kids still ask about Ms. April. They can't grasp why someone who radiated such love could be taken by such cruelty." Unseen by most of her colleagues, however, was the mounting strain in her personal life. April skillfully separated her professional excellence from her private struggles, arriving at work each morning with carefully crafted lesson plans, ensuring her deteriorating marriage never impacted her devotion to her students. Only her closest confidants noticed subtle shifts. She began declining invitations to socialize after work, occasionally appeared with unexplained marks, and took hushed phone calls away from prying ears. April mastered the art of steering conversations toward her students' successes or upcoming school events, deflecting inquiries about her home life. Reflecting on those times, a family friend admitted, "We saw hints of trouble, but didn't piece them together." April was shielding everyone else, even as she desperately needed protection herself. In the weeks leading up to her death, co-workers observed April adopting cautious habits, taking circuitous routes to her car, scanning parking lots before leaving, and frequently checking her phone. Despite the turmoil in her personal life, she remained a pillar of warmth and consistency for her students, providing the stability they relied on as her world grew increasingly precarious. Her supervisor at Fowler Drive recalled their last conversation, where April outlined plans for a winter reading program, her focus on her students' future undimmed by her challenges. She was already thinking months ahead, ensuring her kids had what they needed. April Marie Kelly exemplified resilience in its truest form, not merely enduring hardship, but continuing to nurture others through it. She left behind a legacy of transformed students, inspired colleagues, and a community newly aware of the hidden dangers of domestic violence. Her life demands recognition, not only as a warning of systemic failures, but as a testament to a woman who devoted herself to service, only to be betrayed by a system that failed to shield her despite clear signs and desperate pleas for safety. April and her husband, Ricky Kelly, 48, once presented the image of an ordinary couple in their home in the Brittany Point subdivision of Colbert, Georgia. Neighbors perceived them as reserved, their public interactions offering little clue to the troubling dynamics unfolding privately. At community gatherings, they appeared unremarkable, with Ricky staying quiet while April carried the conversation, nothing to raise suspicion, a neighbor recalled. Yet family members later revealed to investigators that the early harmony of their marriage had eroded into growing discord. What started as occasional arguments escalated into a pattern of control that gradually cut April off from her support network. Friends noticed her absence from social events she once loved, often excused by last-minute claims that Ricky needed her at home. A longtime friend shared that she stopped joining our Friday dinners. At first it was sporadic, but then months passed without seeing her. When she did show up, she was glued to her phone, always on edge. Court records later exposed Ricky's behavior as a textbook case of escalating abuse. He began scrutinizing April's communications, interrogating her about her whereabouts, and sparking conflicts when she spent time with family. As his grip tightened, April's world shrank, her actions confined to an ever-narrowing range of behaviors deemed acceptable. The physical intimidation started subtly, standing too close during disputes, blocking exits, or slamming fists into walls near her. These acts, while not initially direct assaults, conveyed a chilling threat of potential violence. A family member recounted a disturbing incident. She told me Ricky smashed her phone against the wall after she got a text from a male coworker. She brushed it off as him having a rough day, but her trembling hands told a different story. By early 2024, April's colleagues at Fowler Drive noticed her growing reticence about her personal life. She arrived at work earlier and lingered longer, finding reasons to stay at school rather than return home. School security footage captured her sitting in her car for extended periods before driving away, as if steeling herself for the journey home. Phone records later obtained by investigators revealed a telling pattern. April's calls to family surged in the months before her death, made during commutes or lunch breaks, never from home. Her texts to close friends occasionally hinted at needing a temporary place to stay, though she offered no details. A critical moment came in August 2024 when Ricky appeared unannounced at a school event where April was overseeing students. Witnesses described a tense confrontation in the parking lot that left April visibly rattled. A co-worker who escorted her to her car that evening later told police April shared her deepening fear, quoting Ricky, "If I ever tried to leave, he said he wouldn't let me go. I don't think he meant it metaphorically." This encounter marked a turning point for April. In early September, after a particularly terrifying night described by family, she resolved to seek legal protection. She filed for a temporary protection order, TPO, against Ricky in Madison County, documenting a pattern of menacing behavior that made her feel unsafe in her own home. The court granted the order about 2 weeks before the tragedy on October 6th. The TPO mandated that Ricky keep his distance from April, barred all contact, and aimed to provide her with a sense of security. Following law enforcement's advice, April left her home, taking only essentials and moving to her family's residence, leaving behind much of her life with Ricky, her sister reflected. She was both relieved and scared. She knew filing the order might provoke him, but staying quiet felt riskier than speaking out. The couple was set to attend a court hearing on October 21, 2024, to determine longer-term arrangements. April had started consulting a lawyer about divorce, cautiously planning a future free from fear. In late September, she confided to a close friend, "I'm tired of pretending everything's fine. Either the system will keep me safe, or I'll have to vanish where he can't find me. I can't keep living in fear." These words, heavy with foreboding, proved tragically prescient. The protection order, meant to be her shield, instead became the trigger for Ricky's final act of domination, robbing April of the freedom she was only beginning to grasp. By September 2024, April had concluded that legal action was essential for her safety. After cataloging multiple threatening incidents, she petitioned the Madison County Court for a temporary protection order against Ricky. The TPO represented her public acknowledgement that her marriage had become not just strained, but perilous. The court filing detailed specific acts of intimidation, establishing a clear pattern of abuse that persuaded the judge to issue the order roughly 2 weeks before the October tragedy. Her sister later told reporters, "Filing that order was the toughest thing April ever did. It meant admitting to the world that her marriage wasn't just troubled, it was dangerous." The TPO imposed strict limits on Ricky's actions, requiring him to stay a specified distance from April, prohibiting all communication, including calls, texts, emails, and social media, and barring him from her workplace or other frequent locations. Crucially, it forbade him from possessing firearms, a provision that later proved unenforced. To comply with the order and on law enforcement's guidance, April relocated to her family's home, packing only a few suitcases. Her brother recalled she kept saying it was just temporary, that she'd figure things out after the court date. She was trying to hold on to hope. The court scheduled a hearing for October 21, 2024, about 6 weeks after the TPO's filing, to decide if the temporary order would become more permanent, potentially lasting a year or longer based on the evidence. April was diligently gathering additional proof, including text messages and witness accounts, to bolster her case. A co-worker noted she saw that hearing as the start of a new chapter. She was even looking at apartments near the school, planning her next steps. After the TPO was served, Ricky's behavior grew increasingly erratic. While technically adhering to the order by avoiding direct contact with April, he began sharing disturbing thoughts with friends and family, oscillating between remorse and ominous hints that everything would soon end. Phone records later showed he made numerous calls to mutual contacts, seemingly probing for information about April's whereabouts. He was spotted driving near her family's neighborhood, staying just within the legal boundaries of the TPO, testing its limits without outright violation. Ricky's online activity during this period was particularly alarming. Though the TPO barred direct communication with April, it didn't restrict his social media posts, which grew increasingly dark, focusing on themes of loss, betrayal, and finality. These posts, while not addressed to April, were clearly meant for her or her circle to see, a mutual friend explained. He was skirting the order's rules, finding ways to reach her indirectly. The protective system intended to safeguard April instead set a timer, creating a window in which Ricky planned his ultimate act. The TPO, meant to be her defense, became the prelude to her story's tragic end. The morning of October 6, 2024, began with a chilling digital warning that alarmed April's family. Around 8 a.m., Ricky posted a video on his Facebook profile that sparked immediate concern among those aware of the couple's situation.
People, please be careful when you interfere with someone else's marriage, especially if that man has did everything that he could, provided shelter, worked hard all of his life. And for that to be taken from him because someone is angry, that will make a man furious. So Please be careful when interfering with someone else's marriage. To my family, I want to let y'all know I love you, all of you. And anyone that loves me, I love you. And anyone that don't love me, well, deal with it. But I just want to let everyone know, do not interfere with someone else's marriage.
While authorities and media didn't disclose the video's exact content, family members who saw it described it as deeply unsettling. It wasn't just his words, a relative told investigators. It was his tone, his demeanor. He seemed to have crossed a mental threshold. His eyes were empty, yet resolute. The video contained no overt threats, but conveyed severe emotional turmoil and erratic behavior, with Ricky appearing unkempt and speaking in fragmented sentences about resolving things and righting wrongs. He alluded to betrayal and abandonment, hinting at permanent action to end his pain. Phone records showed that several viewers tried calling Ricky after seeing the video, but he didn't answer. Text messages went ignored, heightening concern. As worry grew, contacts alerted April's family, aware she had moved for safety after filing the TPO. By mid-morning, the video's comment section was filled with pleas from friends urging Ricky to reach out, seek help, or reconsider his intentions. One comment, from someone tied to his past, reportedly provoked him, though investigators didn't specify its content or confirm it came from a baby mama. Data showed Ricky viewed this comment around 10:17 a.m., after which neighbors heard a door slam at the Kelly residence, though no one saw anyone enter or leave. By noon, April's family, unable to reach her or Ricky and alarmed by the video and silence, decided to check the couple's Brittany Point home. Arriving around 12:45 p.m., they found Ricky's car in the driveway. They knocked repeatedly, but despite signs of activity, lights on, a TV playing, no one answered. After minutes of growing dread, they forced entry into the home, a decision that revealed a scene that would haunt them forever. Inside the living room, April and Ricky Kelly lay dead, both from gunshot wounds to the head. April's position suggested she was seated when shot, while Ricky's body indicated a self-inflicted wound. The family called 911, but both had been deceased for some time. The responding officer noted the family's extreme distress, requiring immediate support. The Madison County Sheriff's Office arrived swiftly, securing the scene and launching an investigation. Deputies found no signs of forced entry beyond the family's attempt, with all doors and windows locked from within and nothing disturbed. Under Ricky's body, they recovered a Ruger P-96 handgun, later confirmed by forensics as the weapon used in both shootings. Despite the TPO's firearm ban, Ricky had kept this weapon in their former shared home. As news of the tragedy spread throughout the neighborhood, additional law enforcement agencies swiftly converged on the scene, underscoring the gravity of the unfolding situation. The quiet, close-knit subdivision, usually a place of peace and routine, was quickly transformed into a restricted crime scene. By late afternoon, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, had been called in to lend their forensic expertise and assist in processing what had become a deeply disturbing and high-stakes case. Yellow tape lined the property, flashing lights filled the cul-de-sac, and neighbors stood in disbelief, watching as their familiar surroundings turned into the backdrop of a heartbreaking loss. Central to the shock was the realization that April Kelly, who had made conscious efforts to escape a dangerous relationship, had somehow ended up at the very residence where a court-ordered protective measure should have kept Ricky Arnold away. She had filed for and been granted a temporary protective order, TPO, moved to a different location and sought legal protection. Yet the safeguards in place failed her at the most critical moment. It was a failure not just of one system, but of multiple layers meant to protect victims of domestic violence. The Madison County Sheriff's Office led the investigation, working closely with GBI forensic specialists who conducted a comprehensive examination of the crime scene. Investigators documented every detail with precision. April was found seated on the living room couch with a fatal gunshot wound to the head, while Ricky was discovered nearby, also deceased from what appeared to be a self-inflicted injury. A Ruger P-96 semi-automatic handgun was recovered beneath Ricky's body. Ballistics testing later confirmed it as the murder weapon, and forensic analysis supported the conclusion. Ricky had fatally shot April before turning the gun on himself. Digital forensics offered additional insight into Ricky's state of mind. Data retrieved from his phone revealed that, in the hours leading up to the shootings, he had viewed and possibly been agitated by comments on a disturbing video he had uploaded to social media. While the exact link between that online activity and the timing of the murders remains uncertain, investigators considered it a key element of his deteriorating mental state. Autopsies confirmed gunshot wounds as the cause of death, while toxicology reports were pending to determine whether substances may have played a role. The investigation exposed critical flaws in the protective system. The TPO lacked active monitoring, allowing Ricky to violate its distance rules undetected until it was too late. A domestic violence expert noted, protection orders rely on compliance or victim reporting, which fails when escalation is swift. The firearms presence was another failure. Despite the TPO's ban, no process ensured Ricky surrendered his weapons, a gap that proved deadly. Investigators found no evidence April was forcibly abducted, but noted abuse victims are often coerced through manipulation. The 6-week gap before the October 21st hearing created a dangerous window where Ricky's emotions festered. An investigator lamented, "We documented the threat, but couldn't stop it." News of April's death rippled through Colbert and beyond, with local outlets like the Athens Banner-Herald and WLHR Radio offering restrained coverage that emphasized the abuse pattern and events leading to the tragedy. Hundreds gathered at Fowler Drive Elementary, leaving flowers, cards, and photos in a growing memorial. Candlelight vigils allowed the community to share memories of April's kindness. A local official at a forum declared, "We mourn April, but we must address the system's failure. Her death demands better protection for others." The tragic case of April Kelly sparked a wave of public outcry and brought renewed attention to the systemic failures surrounding domestic violence protections. Her death served as a stark reminder of how current measures, despite being in place, often fall short when it comes to enforcement, monitoring, and the surrender of firearms by those under protective orders. In response, the Madison County Sheriff's Office announced plans to implement more comprehensive training programs for deputies, aiming to help them better identify high-risk individuals and intervene earlier in volatile domestic situations. Advocates and legal experts quickly mobilized, proposing a range of crucial reforms. These included GPS tracking for individuals named in temporary protective orders, TPOs, the creation of rapid response crisis intervention teams, and stricter firearm surrender protocols with verification systems to ensure compliance. In tandem with these efforts, the April's Promise initiative was launched. This campaign seeks to educate the public on early warning signs of domestic abuse, improve collaboration between legal and support services, and push for legislative changes that could save lives in the future. Beyond policy reform, April's impact is deeply felt in the educational community she once served. Fowler Drive Elementary established the April Kelly Memorial Scholarship, awarded annually to special education students, reflecting April's passion and dedication to children with unique learning needs. Her colleagues also introduced a reading program in her name, ensuring her legacy continues through the students she loved and supported. According to domestic violence hotlines, calls have surged by 40% since the case gained national attention, a sign that April's story has empowered others to seek help. Her tragedy forced a shift. One advocate said, "People are finally recognizing domestic violence as a public health crisis." In classrooms, courtrooms, and advocacy circles, April's memory is a driving force for lasting change. As we conclude April's tragic story, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Your engagement helps spread awareness about these critical issues, and don't miss our True Crime Stories playlist in the description below, where we dive deep into cases that reveal the urgent need for systemic change. Just like April's, each story there shines a light on truths that need to be addressed.